Do you consider yourself to be an extrovert? What about if you're an introvert? Is it still possible to be a professional photographer? I'm going to talk about it on today's episode of
Ask David Bergman.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Here I am, as always, answering your photography questions. Don't forget to go to AskDavidBergman.com. You know what to do on that site. Submit your photo question right there. I just might pick it to answer right here on a future show. You're already, hopefully, a subscriber to the Adorama TV YouTube channel. If not, go ahead and click that button down below. Use the little bell icon so you'll be notified as soon as new photo shows come out all week long from myself and all the other photo hosts right here on Adorama TV. Also, I've started a new series, a video series on my own YouTube channel called From the Vault, where I pull an image out of my 30-year archive and I tell the behind-the-scenes story. I'm also offering fine art prints of those images. You can check that out at the link down below. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel as well. All right, let's get on to today's show. I've got a question from Sai, and Sai wants to know, I'm an extreme introvert and I love photography. Can I still pursue it as my career? I love questions like this because we can get a little bit beyond shutter speeds and apertures and talk about the psychology of photography just a little bit more. Now look, I am not a professional psychologist. I don't even play one on TV. So don't take any of this as medical advice, but I do believe there is a difference between being an introvert and just being shy. And at the other end of the spectrum, if you have severe social anxiety, you really should consider getting professional help. That could affect your daily life more than just becoming a photographer. Now, as far as being an introvert, there really is nothing wrong with being an introvert. I actually think many photographers are introverts by default because we like to be behind the camera, not in front of it. Most photographers prefer to document an event rather than take part in it. If you're right in the middle of an event, sometimes you don't actually want to be photographing it. So it's easier for that personality type to stay outside and document from the outside looking in. Now, me personally, I don't consider myself to be an introvert. I'm at the point in my life where I can really talk to anybody. I have no problem walking up to somebody and having a conversation where that's appropriate. But at the beginning of my career, I was absolutely much more shy. I was fortunate to work at a newspaper. I was a staff photographer at the Miami Herald, and I had to talk to people because I don't know how it is today, but back then, to publish a photograph in a newspaper, we had to have identifying information about the people in the picture. So I had to walk up to somebody after photographing them and get their name, a lot of times their age, the city that they lived in, and all of that ID info. I was forced to do that or I could lose my job. So I actually, in my 20s, I learned early on just to do it regardless of how I felt about it. I knew that it had to be done. If you are somebody who's introverted and not comfortable doing something like that, you can absolutely still pursue a career in photography. Believe it or not, most photographers actually spend a lot of time alone. There's so much to do beyond taking pictures. Just the act of running a business, there are all kinds of other things that you do where you're not around people. But if you really want to photograph people, you need to do the same thing that I did when I worked at the paper. You just have to force yourself to do it. I know it's easy to say, but it does actually get easier over time. Maybe it's never going to be completely natural for you, but it can be done. This is a skill that you can actively work on. The old expression holds true. Fake it till you make it. In your mind, what you have to do is you have to pretend you're an extrovert, especially if you're around people who don't know you. Just pretend you're somebody else. Pretend you are somebody who's extroverted. If you have to go up to people to make their pictures and to work with them, then just try to figure out what an extrovert would do in that situation and just fake it until it gets easier. Here's a little bit of secret. Here's a little bit of a secret. Everyone is actually doing that. Everybody is kind of faking it until they figure out how to do it. I did a show a few weeks ago about imposter syndrome. And again, I'll put a link down below if you didn't see that. But it's really about the fact that so many of us, especially creative people, we're sort of unsure of our skills, and even if you've been doing it a long time, you feel like you're just faking it. And one day everybody's going to figure it out that you're really an imposter and somebody's going to come along and replace you. But you just have to kind of learn to get over that. Now, the camera, I believe, makes it easier to approach people because you actually have a reason to approach somebody. Like when I was at the Herald, I wouldn't normally have walked up to people, especially during a protest or something like that, people screaming and angry, protesting. But I had to go up to them and get their name. They understand why I have to come up to them. As soon as I say that first sentence, oh, I'm a photographer from the Miami Herald, I took a picture, yada, yada, yada. The camera was my excuse. So if you can sort of come up with your own reasoning for doing it, even if it's just to make great pictures, that the camera is a bit of a buffer and can allow you to approach people in a way that you might not normally do in your everyday life. Also, some things you can do if you really are introverted and need some different things that an extrovert might not, you can actually limit the number of photo sessions you do in a day. It's really important for introverts to schedule downtime to recharge themselves, to mentally recharge. Introverts need that time to rest and relax so that you can give your clients the attention that they deserve without being mentally exhausted. If you're just wiped out, you're not going to be able to do a service to your clients, the best work for your clients and for yourself. Also, as far as taking that time, that downtime, it can even be work, right? When you're editing, you're doing marketing online or promotion or things like that. Those are things where you're not around people, and that can be a good recharge. But also, you should schedule in just some good old R&R, some rest and relaxation away from the business, whether it's reading a book or meditating or whatever it is you need to do to collect yourself. You have to schedule that into your time and turn down jobs if you have to, if it's just too much and you're not going to be doing a good job for yourself or your clients. Now, one more thing, when you're photographing people, if you are doing that kind of work, you can create an environment that's comfortable for you. No one says that you have to have 5 assistants, an art director, a graphic designer, hair and makeup, and all those people looking at you on a set waiting for you to tell them what to do. You can create your own style. Maybe you prefer to shoot one-on-one with a friend. If that's more comfortable for you, you could just hang out with them, like spend a day together or spend a night, whatever it is, have drinks and just make pictures, right? You can take all the time you want. That can be your style. That can be your thing. There's no one way to do this, right? And also, something I've done over the years is I don't like to over-direct people. If you're not comfortable posing them, like saying turn 1 inch this way and move your chin 1 inch that way, if you're not comfortable doing that with people, you want to just create an environment where you can let them be themselves. For example, I enjoy action photography, sports and concerts, doing that kind of thing. So a lot of times when I'm posing a band, for example, I might go back to that where I have them running or jumping or just playing or doing something that is comfortable for them. And I sort of set the environment for them to have fun, and then I can just document it. And I'm going to make interesting pictures, and they're different from those kind of posed photographs, and that's more my style, right? So that's for photographing people, but the truth is there are also a lot of photography careers that don't require much interaction with people. Maybe you could be a product photographer where you sit in the studio all day just tweaking lights and tweaking angles of a watch face where you're making the perfect gorgeous image of that. All kinds of other things like architecture photography, landscape photography. Maybe you like shooting food in restaurants or in the studio. Wildlife photography, even real estate photography is very much of a solo career, or aerial photography if you like working with drones. Those are all going to give you plenty of time alone, and they can be lucrative careers as well. Now, from the business side, if you were doing something like that, a lot of the sales and marketing these days is done online, so that's not as much of an issue. Of course, if you're a wedding photographer, you do have to meet with clients and market with clients that way, but maybe that's not going to be the right thing for you. If you work in a studio, a lot of that stuff can be done online. But if you do need to meet with people, you can also partner with somebody to handle that for you. It's not that common, but it certainly can be done. Maybe you have a friend or a family member who loves doing that stuff. They love sales and marketing and getting out and meeting people and pitching people on the company's services, right? So in that case, you would benefit from each other's skills because they love doing that, but maybe they don't have the same creative ability that you do or the patience that you do to sit in the studio all day long and just create really fantastic images. Here's the thing, the beauty of having any type of creative career, especially as a photographer, is that we're all different. You don't have to do things the way that I do them or the way that anybody else does them. You have to use your creativity to find your own path. You can create your career and essentially your life based on your own skills and your preferences. You're going to be much happier, and without sounding too cheesy, the world is really going to be a better place, a richer place with such a wide variety of creative people bringing their style to the rest of us. So find your own path and create your own life, and I'm sure that you can find a way, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Thanks so much, Sai, for sending that question. I hope that helps. I hope that helps some others out there who might be struggling with this. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button below. You can comment as well, and I'll try to be in the comments as often as I can. I appreciate you joining me. As you know, I do this show every single week for Adorama TV. Hopefully you're sending in your photo questions at AskDavidBergman.com. I hope you'll come back and join me next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, every Monday when a new episode comes out right here on Ask David Bergman.